Welcome to Bobby Owsinski's Inner Circle. I'm Bobby Owsinski, and this is a show all about music, music production, and the music business. My guest today is Jeff Ponchick of Repost Network. First of all, let's talk about fake crowds. Would you like a large crowd of screaming fans? How about a huge crowd for a music video that you're about to shoot? Do you want to impress a club owner and maybe have lines around the block waiting to get in? Well, you can have this fairly easily if you have the money, because there's actually a company that will supply any kind of crowd anywhere of any size. It's a company from Los Angeles called Crowds on Demand, and that's what they do. They get crowds for political rallies, and they get crowds for movie stars at the airport, and crowds for just about anything you can think of. And what this goes to show you is your eyes can deceive you when you see a lot of people on television that are paying rapt attention to someone. You never know if, in fact, that's real or if somebody paid for them. Now, before you think that this is cheating, just remember this goes back a long way. It's been reported that Elvis and the Beatles actually used ringers in the audience whenever they did a television appearance. So those live TV appearances with the screaming girls could have been set up. Fake things happen a lot online as well. There's fake listeners on Spotify. There are fake likes. There are fake followers. There are fake views. If you want to pay for it, you can get a lot of people to do something for you. Now, sometimes it's real people, sometimes it's automated. More likely it's automated when it comes to online. Nonetheless, if you want to pay for it, you can get a lot. And this has made a lot of the music industry execs very, very skeptical of when they see big numbers, when they see big view numbers, when they see a lot of likes. And especially if it's from an artist or a band that they never heard of before. Because usually there's some sort of a buzz that they start to hear about before they start to see those numbers. So it just goes to show you, you can't fake things anymore, and you can get away with it for a little bit, but the people that really know are looking for these things, and they have a good way of finding them. For instance, a few years ago, there was this whole thing about Facebook likes, where there are huge numbers of Facebook likes, even for huge artists like Justin Bieber. And it turns out their management was buying likes. And the way that they figured it out was they started to look at where these likes came from, and most of them came from Mexico City. So that was a dead giveaway. After a while, you could tell that they were bought because you just don't have 10 million fans from Mexico City that are liking something within an hour period. So be careful if you're going to buy these things. Be careful if you're going to buy a crowd. Be careful if you're going to buy likes, views, whatever online, because people will discover it. You will be found out. Remember, it only works for a little while. If you have any questions or comments, send them to questions@bobbyownercircle.com. Don't forget about my new coaching program. It's 101 Mixing Tricks, big studio tricks with a small studio. Go to 101mixingtricks.com to learn more. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is a potentially new breakthrough in batteries that really might impact the MI industry and the audio industry down the road. This is what's known as the 3D battery, and it really has a lot going for it. This is a product of Colorado State University, and the people that discovered it at Colorado State have spun off their own company called Pareto Battery. That's P-R-I-E-T-O, Pareto Battery. What's cool about the 3D battery is the fact that, first of all, you can get a lot more capacity out of the same size. It's faster charging, there's longer life, and you just get more bang for the buck. One of the problems with the current batteries that we have, the 2D batteries, and there's lots of problems, but the fact of the matter is the electrons just flow one direction on one plane. They're 2D batteries. With the 3D battery, and now imagine these are mostly made out of foam. You have electrons that are moving in multi-dimensions, and that's what makes them so efficient. Now what you have is more surface area, multi-dimensional electron movement, and it gives you a lot more capacity and faster charge, a longer life, much cooler. Here's the best part. It's definitely safer for the environment. One of the big problems with the current battery technology is good batteries are made out of lithium, which is very toxic. The electrolyte is liquid, really toxic. You don't get any of that with the new 3D foam batteries. So this is cool. Now, just imagine what it could do for you in the studio. For instance, to your computers, to your iPads, to your drives, for instance, that will all be battery powered, and you don't have to worry about the battery running out, or at least you don't have to worry about it the way you do now. Imagine things like guitar pedals, things like wireless networks, wireless microphones, wireless guitars, where you basically have to change out the battery just about every time you use it. Well, this could be a breakthrough here where you don't have to change it for a really long time. So look for 3D batteries. It's not something that you're going to find on the shelf anytime soon, but it is a technology that's up and coming, and I think it'll make an impact on the audio industry and on the MI industry as well. So look out for that. My guest today is Jeff Ponchick, who's formerly the A&R manager for the YouTube multi-channel network Fullscreen. Jeff has taken what he's learned from YouTube and started the first multi-channel network for SoundCloud, and his new venture is called Repost Network. A multi-channel network for SoundCloud does have big implications in the fact that now you can actually get paid for your SoundCloud streams. I talk with Jeff via Skype from Los Angeles. So basically what you are, you're an MCN for SoundCloud, right?
Yeah, you could call it that. I mean, in a lot of cases, I think the word MCN can have sort of a negative meaning in the entertainment industry, but that's essentially what we are. Really, we consider ourselves more of a artist monetization platform.
How long has the platform been going?
It's been about 7 or 8 months, I would say. So less than a year.
Okay.
And, monetization is relatively new on SoundCloud. So, we're just trying to take advantage of it and pioneer it while it's sort of in its, infancy stage.
Yeah, you mentioned about SoundCloud Premiere. What's that?
Yeah, so the On SoundCloud Premiere program is a program they rolled out about a year ago. And that's essentially what we're doing, right? We're bringing artists into the On SoundCloud Premiere program on behalf of SoundCloud. Mm-hmm. And essentially, if you're a part of that program, you get access to a lot of the things that I mentioned, right? So the unlimited pro account, the track artwork, sort of the custom features, access to monetization. It's SoundCloud's premier tier, that they rolled out a year ago that allows artists to get more. Currently, it's invite only, and we're sort of the only one of the few, I would say, developing on top of it.
So what are you adding on top of it then?
Yeah, so like what I mentioned, the tech dashboard. So, we believe that there's a huge issue in the music industry with regards to transparency. Mm-hmm. So, being able to submit your content for monetization, for publishing clearance through our tech platform, through our dashboard, is a big win. It makes it a lot easier for artists to monetize their content faster, as well as track their earnings. We're, the majority of our competitors, which are generally just YouTube networks or traditional music distributors, they aren't getting that much because they're not. No one's sort of as laser focused on it as we are. So,
yeah.
The other aspect too is we're also offering traditional distribution to iTunes, Spotify, things of that nature too. So you can also begin to do that through our dashboard as well.
Oh, that's cool. Well, okay, mm-hmm. Let's come back to monetization because I'm not quite clear on that. So is the artist charging a fee? Is it a charge per listen? What is it exactly? How does that work?
So you mean sort of in the way we work with artists, or monetization in general on SoundCloud?
Well, in general on SoundCloud, and then how you do it.
Yeah, the way monetization works on SoundCloud is so currently monetization is only happening on US plays. If you haven't seen an ad on SoundCloud before, it's a 15 or 30 second, usually skippable audio pre-roll when you hit play on a piece of content. The ad is coming through. It's coming through their website, their mobile app, and through embeds as well, not through custom players built on top of their API. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where you can see it. Again, monetization is only happening in the United States. So on US plays, it's sort of a market share, right? So the way I understand it is, if X amount of dollars are put into the pool of for advertising on SoundCloud, and your monetizable US plays is 1% of that, then you're entitled to, 1% of that revenue. So a little different than YouTube. Where YouTube, it's sort of based on how many clicks, right? Like what's the click through.
Yeah.
SoundCloud's a little bit more about like the market share.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, That's sort of what Spotify does. Spotify does a modification of that, where at a certain point it clicks into market share.
Right. And I think, I think it's only going to get more advanced, as time goes on.
Yeah.
Spotify and YouTube have had years doing this, whereas, SoundCloud's kind of wrapping the bend of its first year of, introducing monetization to the platform. So.
And what kind of ads are they?
Yeah. So like, you mean the brands that are advertising or? Yeah, that's a great question. We've seen Squarespace, Audible. I mean, there's two different types of inventory, right? So there's podcast inventory, and then there's music inventory. So music inventory, we've seen, trying to think, Grand Marnier, SoundCloud does their own, internal advertising as well. For the podcast space, you see Squarespace, you see Audible. There's certainly lots of brands in the space, and I would say SoundCloud sales team is doing a really phenomenal job at bringing in interested advertisers. And my opinion, this isn't SoundCloud's opinion, right? But my opinion is, I think SoundCloud is at quite an advantage in that you have something like YouTube, right, which has video game content. They have fashion channels. They have music of every genre. SoundCloud is like very hard hitting a very core demographic or type of person. Like, I think it's not super hard to think, okay, what is the average SoundCloud user? What do they look like? Where do they live? How old are they? It's pretty easy to kind of imagine what that is, which I think makes it much easier to kind of figure out who the big brands are that would want to reach that audience, and be able to come to them and say, hey, we have 175 million unique users. We have this huge audience, and I think it's working out, and it's proving that brands are interested in advertising in this space.
I know a lot of, I'd say most musicians, most artists, most bands have a SoundCloud account, and I know they're big users. But do consumers go that often to SoundCloud? Or is it just, they're clicking through because it happens to be convenient on somebody's website? Is that the way that works mostly? Because, again, the users that I'm aware of are mostly, again, musicians or people in the business. And that's not the way you sustain, monetization of the platform.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, yes, there is a ton of traffic happening from blogs, certainly, and third-party websites. Advertising, like I said, is coming through the embeds of that content. And maybe I'm not fully understanding your question, but I think what that is, right, is great marketing strategy, right? And they're starting to, it's, again, my opinion, the fact that when you post something on Facebook now, it's a SoundCloud link, it has the link back to SoundCloud to listen to it. They're starting to make smarter decisions with regards to getting, those users back on their platform and listening on their platform.
Yeah.
And also, if you look at just growth of SoundCloud year over year, it's phenomenal. I mean, the growth of it as a platform is, don't quote me on this here, but it's, I think it's something around around 50% growth year over year at least for the platform. So it's in terms of the amount of users and listeners and people uploading content to the site, 12 hours of audio uploaded every minute. It's massive.
That's very cool. I'm curious because I don't know this. Most of the artists that I know are, they're beginning, they're up and coming, they're maybe moderately successful, but do major artists have SoundCloud accounts?
Yeah. So, Warner Music has the deal done with SoundCloud. Certainly the other majors, my hope is they will follow. There's certainly much more major label content on YouTube than there is on SoundCloud at the moment. But
for now,
but that's something that again is changing.
Okay.
And kind of there's you can only go up.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you get paid?
How do we specifically get paid?
Yeah.
So we're an aggregator. We're not like a TuneCore or a CD Baby in which we charge upfront per piece of content that we distribute and monetize. We believe in investing in the artists we work with and helping them grow and see success. So we operate on a revenue share model. So we take a small percentage of the revenue generated on the content that we help them monetize. We also offer, the content protection so that, those plays are happening on, their monetized channels, and helping them, in some cases, also market themselves and see success from their monetized content. That's how we get paid. We are in, like any MCN, a bit of a middleman, right? Like we're kind of in between the platform and the artist. And, our goal is to help break and, educate these artists about, what publishing means and what a performing rights organization is and what an ISRC code is, things that, to a lot of people would be obvious. We're teaching a lot of these, successful kids on SoundCloud what they are, and helping them get monetized and find success. So, we operate on a revenue share model in which SoundCloud pays us, we take our cut, and then we pay out our artists accordingly.
You just talked about content protection, and again, do you have something that's kind of like Content ID on YouTube? Is that similar?
Sort of. So So you can take content down. So SoundCloud does have a way to utilize audio fingerprinting and take down any third-party uploads. We certainly have the ability to continue to do that and build that out. Our approach, though, is whether you like it or not, SoundCloud is a great platform for remix content. Through our product, if our artists see, I would say 95% of our artists, if they see someone taking their content and they want us to take it down, we'll usually just reach out and say, hey, we protect the rights on behalf of this, artist who, owns, controls the master and, is self-published. Can you please take this down? Otherwise, we're going to, be forced to strike you. We try to be a little bit more cool about it because, what you start to see happen with, certainly with what the majors are doing is just channels being taken down left and right because they're sweeping through and, shutting down remixes. So I would say for us, the majority of it is manual takedown, but for some people we're, pursuing a more automated solution. So
how are you finding unauthorized content then? Is there a bot that crawls through SoundCloud, or is it just manual?
Yes. So for us, again, it's mostly manual. It's our artists. They're very protective of their content, and they'll let us know if they want something taken down, and we have a product for that in our dashboard. A content protection sort of app. As it were. But for some, we can kind of similarly to YouTube, utilize SoundCloud's fingerprinting system and set a policy more or less to take down the content upon upload. There's no way to monetize third-party uploads at this time, but that I would imagine would be huge for everyone.
If
SoundCloud were to allow for that to happen. But the key difference is, on YouTube, everyone thinks Content ID is this great thing. And, you have companies like Zephyr who have, built, pretty big businesses off of, Content ID on YouTube. But it's kind of a flawed system, in my opinion, right? It's very much like you as a content creator upload the content, and then the rights holders are sort of expected after the fact to come in and claim ownership of that. with us, we're clearing publishing on a per track basis. So, we know for monetized play one, all of the, stakeholders are compensated, right? So it's sort of like on SoundCloud, there's a bit of a higher barrier to entry for monetization, but it's safer, right, for our artists, which, I think is good.
How are publishers getting paid?
Yeah, that's a great question. So SoundCloud has, certainly some direct deals with larger publishers, in which, they just, I have no idea actually how they handle that. But for independent artists, it's a company called Music Reports, which, clears the public. That's who we use. We use a company called Music Reports who helps to clear, the publishing for our independent artists.
Got it. Well, I'm curious though. I guess there's two publishing royalties, right? There must be a streaming performance royalty because it's on demand, and as well as a performance royalty, right? Right? Am I right on that?
So you're saying a streaming? Say that one more time.
Well, with Spotify or any kind of on-demand music distributor, there's two publishing royalties that get paid out. One is a performance royalty that goes, right to the publisher through ASCAP BMI, and the other one is a streaming mechanical, and that's paid, to the record label first, and then it gets distributed from there, which isn't a good way to do it, but that's what they do. So I'm just curious if that's the same thing. It must be the same because of it's on demand.
It is. And I mean, Music Reports is the one who, what they're doing is like essentially we're working with Music Reports to secure a license for SoundCloud to be able to monetize that content, right?
Yeah.
And then they are responsible for paying out on those publishing royalties.
Okay. Well, that's pretty cool. Is the Repost network then bootstrapped? Do you have investors? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we received an investment from Amplify LA. So we're a Amplify LA company working in Venice Beach, which is great. We've also raised a little bit of seed and angel as well. So we are funded on the seed level, and we're hiring and growing, and we're seeing a pretty awesome demand of maybe I'd say between 25 and 50 applicants per day who are just we have something artists want, we have something independent artists want, and it's great to work with them and help them monetize their content. And at the end of the day, when we see, when someone hits us up through support and says, hey, I was able to, take the $100 you made me and I bought Ableton instead of pirated it. It's a really great feeling to just see them reinvest it, into themselves. So, it's an awesome feeling to be empowering our artists, and we're really creating a family type vibe with the artists we work with too.
I mean, the cool thing is, I don't know of anybody else in the space. It just sounds like a brilliant idea because up until now, it's kind of a free for all, isn't it? If you're
it's certainly the Wild West. We're definitely figuring it out as it goes along.
And you come from a big MCN, so you kind of know the ropes and how all that works. So it should be. Yeah,
I mean, if there's anything I learned, it's that the multi-channel network space. If you put enough emphasis on tech in the beginning and you make it easier for people, and you can work with the platform in a capacity that helps make everyone money, and you can allow some features that everyone wants. It's a really great way to just aggregate talent and content creators. I think that's been proven, and this is certainly my second rodeo.
Right.
It's a little easier to kind of like hit the ground running, kind of knowing like, okay, we should definitely do this, we shouldn't do that. It's definitely having that experience and seeing the success of full screen is pretty helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw something on your website about custom apps. Can you tell me about that?
Custom apps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, within our dashboard, we have some apps within some general apps that help, our artists out. So an example is, we have an app called Don't Sample Me in there. And this is something that our artists requested, right? One of the great things about having, hundreds of artists who love what you're doing for them is they'll tell you additionally what they want from you. So what this is it's basically we kind of partnered with some kids out in Texas who had built out more or less just a list of every major label artist and to what extent they issue content takedowns across the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's totally crowdsourced. We work with them to bring that into our dashboard in the form of an app. So you can type in Drake or, Lady Gaga or Dr. Dre, and it will tell you, how much of how likely your content is to be taken down should you remix them. Now,
wow.
Repost, of course, never condones the uploading of unofficial remix content to any platform online. That's not okay. But we can condone, the education of the way in which artists are protecting their copyright and how to potentially avoid any unnecessary copyright disputes. Which is a problem for the platform, it's a problem for the artist, it's a problem for the rights holders.
I see how that works. That's interesting because instead of encouragement, it's really a form of you better watch it, because no matter what it is, you see what could happen if you do that, if you use unauthorized content. So I would see that working in the favor of legit
of everyone.
Yeah,
really.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's not like these kids are going out and remixing content, because they're like bad people, right? Like the majors or whatever, this content on your platform is illegal and, this is so bad. It's literally just a lack of knowledge, right?
Yeah, they just
about
don't know
what the implications of those things are, So we're really trying to work with our artists and, educate them to be a little bit more smart, and be a little bit more compliant within the traditional music industry, right?
Yeah.
So, yep.
Okay. Well, hey, let's talk some big picture here. What's your feeling about YouTube MCNs? What do you see happening with that?
Just in general?
Well, in YouTube, for instance. Because it seems like it's played out now.
I mean, I think that, I don't know sort of what you mean by played out, but it's, I mean, if you look at what's happening higher level at, Maker Studios or, Full Screen or The Collective, I mean, there's a lot of diversification happening. And, my guess would be that all these MCNs probably wish they'd start doing that a little bit earlier. The influencer space, it's weird. Like the multi-channel YouTube space, I don't know how much longer that's, going to be, that might be played out, right? It might be pretty hard for someone to enter that space on YouTube and really make like a sizable dent. Because, certainly the big guys are already established and have access to an absurd amount of capital, but, the influencer space in general, right, is, I think, hotter than ever. And it's, across Twitter, across Facebook, and across SoundCloud. I think it's a situation where this year is going to be, the big platforms that are here to stay. And, in the next few years, it's going to be really interesting to see how, Facebook starts to pay its content creators for its posts, or Twitter, or even if they do that, right? And I think that the MCNs will be really well positioned to take advantage of, working with other platforms, and taking their talent other places and really expounding, value beyond just YouTube, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I believe in it. I think it's just how are they going to, if they're going to continue to exist, how are they going to drive value from, not just YouTube, right? Like how do we create value for our talent elsewhere? Right.
What do you see in the future for Repost? What are the long-term plans?
I could tell you, but I'd have to kill you, Bobby. No.
Well, I mean, where do you hope that it goes?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of interesting, right? We're like using our relationship with SoundCloud to aggregate a ton of artists, right? If you look at SoundCloud, of any platform next to YouTube, actually, it has the largest amount of non-represented, like non-label content, right?
Mm-hmm.
And huge majority, like I won't give the actual number, but a huge overwhelming majority of the artists on our network are not distributing to iTunes, are not distributing to Spotify, despite having medium to large audiences on SoundCloud.
Mm-hmm.
So I think obviously we are going to be, we're already moving towards it. beginning to start playing in the distributor space.
I get why. Okay, I see why you're there. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So, SoundCloud's just, there's a reason why TuneCore and everyone are spending a ton of money advertising on SoundCloud to try and acquire more people right now, right? But we're more in it, and we're aggregating artists at a really alarming pace. So, definitely moving into sort of the distributor space. But again, the mission of Repost is to help artists and podcasters make a living through their audiences online. And I honestly believe we're going to do that through any means possible, for audio creators. And, that could include, doing a deal with a clothing or a merchandise company, or, you name it, whatever our artists ask for and whatever they want, we're going to try and, bring them those opportunities. And, it's going to be a great day when we can finally highlight an artist and say, hey, we're paying for this person's, life from the revenue we're generating for them. So, I think, it's definitely moving into the distributor space a bit more, and just helping to create more value for these artists. Because again, it's a lack. It's not that they can't make money. It's a lack of education or knowledge about how to go about doing that. Right?
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Are you adding any like a promotional factor? Because I really don't know how you'd promote yourself on SoundCloud. I don't have enough experience. So tell me, how does that happen?
I could tell you the best way to promote it. So the best way to promote yourself on SoundCloud is to just find a group of people who are like-minded artists and repost each other's content. So there's this thing happening on SoundCloud called collectives, right? Where you'll get like 14 or 20 artists or something. You'll share a SoundCloud account. You guys will contribute some content to it. And, you're kind of like a little family, and you repost each other's content and you all grow together.
Yeah.
Because essentially on SoundCloud, the action of an upload and the action of a repost is sort of the same action. So that's the best way to do it. So when a lot of our artists ask for help with, getting more plays on SoundCloud, it's seriously just a matter of just introducing them to other like-minded artists in our network, and just getting them to be like, hey, I really like your music. Like I'll repost it. And then they say, thanks, I'll do the same. And, then, it's just, and they can collaborate together and start working together. So, it's honestly just a lot of that. I think that one of the things I'm very hesitant about, and something I learned from the multi-channel network space, is, I think a lot of YouTubers were under the impression that if they joined a YouTube network, some sort of light switch would be flipped and they would become a big YouTuber.
Yeah.
Which just isn't the case, right? Like if the larger you get from like a scale capacity, in terms of the amount of content creators in your network, the, less you are able to effectively market them, right? Like if you're a music manager, you have a couple people on your roster and you're doing that full time. Like imagine trying to do that for 70,000 people. So we're a little bit less, when it comes to marketing, like if there's any marketing opportunities, it's generally going to be, it's definitely generally happening through a product, right?
Yeah.
That's sort of the only at scale way for us to communicate with our artists and sort of let them self-serve themselves.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit sort of in our pitch to artists and the people we work with, we're a little bit more focused on the content protection, the monetization side of things, and less on the marketing than I think most MCNs are, whereas they can be a little bit more like, we'll set up collaborations, we'll help market you.
No, I've certainly heard that.
We just don't want to be in a position where we overpromise and underdeliver. And, we know we can do the content protection stuff really well. We know we can do the monetization stuff really well. And the marketing stuff, we can do it. But, we realize that that's not the most scalable thing to do for everyone. So, we don't outwardly kind of promise that.
Yeah.
But it does come up.
Well, it's just like an artist signing to a record label. It's the same thing where in the artist's mind, and many of them, it's, I've made it. They're going to make me a star.
Right.
And the fact is you're one of, 100 artists, maybe more, in some, major labels. And it's really easy to fall through the cracks. So, I could say. But, I've heard it before as well. And I think in the beginning, I was even under the impression that a YouTube MCN was going to, really contribute to the marketing and, as you say, there's just so many of them, it's impossible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just managing people's expectations, right?
Yeah.
Which is always a hard thing to do because everyone wants the best for their content. So again, yeah, we don't like really actively like I'm not 100% sure. Don't quote me on it, but I don't think there's anything on our current website that says anything about full offer marketing. We're not super. Like our value add is we will help you make money.
Well, so, yeah, sure. Where they wouldn't be making it before, sure. I mean, I can't see a downside, personally.
Yeah.
So,
and what about you? Are we going to get this podcast on SoundCloud or what?
I'd love to. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I never even considered it until I received your email the other day, and it's like, oh, hey, that's a good idea. Does the cross posting work with podcasters as well?
The cross promotion? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I would say Dave Pensado would be a great person for you to probably connect with on that.
Well, I talk to Dave frequently, so next time I do, I'll bring that up. But yeah,
there we go. There we go.
Let's get it going. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, SoundCloud has and you can tell me what you think of my pitch to podcasters if you want. So if you have a podcast channel, you work with us, you get a free unlimited pro account for a year, right? So you can upload all of your podcasts, right? All of your back catalogs to the channel. You can basically enter SoundCloud's podcast program, which means you can still deliver to iTunes and, all the places you would normally deliver to. And instead of going with like someone like Lipson's or whatever, you're tapping into a platform that has a community. Okay. Mm-hmm. And not only is your hosting free, but we can put advertisements in front of your hosting, and your hosting will make you money, right? So that's a pretty good deal too.
Yeah, it is, definitely. No, that's pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. One last question.
Sweet.
So in this new venture of yours, what have you learned that's kind of new, a new piece of business advice or a new lesson that you've learned?
I think I would say if I was a smarter person, I wouldn't be in music. It's a little bit more difficult to get investment in the music space, just because I think a lot of people have been burned by it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm just one of those people where I'm completely addicted to it, and there's nothing I can do. It just has me, and I just see so many problems in the music industry, and I have to try and fix them. So, I guess if I was a little smarter, I would probably be in a field that, is a larger market. Makes a little bit more money. But, again, I think there's a lot of money to be made in music, and that's kind of what we're all about, right? There's a lot falling through the cracks, and it's easier than ever to be an independent artist. So, how do we really empower those people?
Yeah, no, I get it. That's cool. There's, I know as far as investors that I know, or when I get into conversations with people that are in that space, what they always tell me about the music space is that they're deathly afraid of anything that has to do with licensing. And they think that anything in the music tech space requires licensing. So that's really scared a lot of them away.
Yeah, and the beauty of what we're doing is it requires no major label buy-in.
Yeah, right. No, that's
right.
Beautiful.
So it's which is great. Like I honestly think I have found something that is not reliant on gathering, taking a year or 2 years to do a deal with Universal. You know what I mean? I completely don't have to deal with any of that, which is pretty awesome,
it is, because that's a killer when you have to wait that long, and then you have to deal with the other major labels plus the indies. So I can see why people would be scared, but you're right. You don't need to do that, so it's a wonderful thing. Well, this is cool. This has been a great conversation, Jeff. I'm really happy for you. This sounds like a very cool thing that you're doing. So I'm glad we had this talk today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You can find out more about monetizing your SoundCloud streams and about Repost Network at repostnetwork.com. It's Repost Network, all one word, REPOST network.com. Thanks for listening and being in my inner circle. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, you can send them to questions@BobbyOInnerCircle.com. Many thanks to Steve Cherubino. He's the host of the EDM Producer Podcast at edmmr.com. To listen to other episodes of Bobby Owsinski's Inner Circle, you can go to BobbyOwsinski.com and select the podcast tab, or go to BobbyOInnerCircle.com, or find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Mixcloud, and Google Play. At BobbyOwsinski.com and BobbyOInnerCircle.com, you'll find a sign-up form for my newsletter and for alerts for new podcasts. This is Bobby Owsinski. I'll see you next time.